Right guys, this is Jerningham here. The total deaths in England are 108 new deaths, 26,234 deaths. Total deaths in the deaths in England's hospitals. Northwest, highest numbers of deaths. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but anyway, we're going to try and find some more about it. Let's see.
Include what the figures are for the number of deaths.
They talk about the figures of number of deaths and care homes. Could be a bit higher.
It will be something that people will be paying attention to tonight.
Kate, thanks very much. Let's take a look at some of the day's other news now. And thousands of EasyJet staff are set to lose their jobs after the airline announced plans to cut its workforce by 30%.
Apparently the EasyJet are going to be sacked as well, most of the staff, the airline. I want the more deaths what are usual here. What I mean by that is, it's very sad news for all these people dying in this country, but I want to know what the rest of the deaths are. It's not told with that.
Should have seen that away.
So this is another thing what we're going to be looking at on YouTube. Coronavirus, please prepare for post-lockdown gang violence.
Bragging to his followers on Snapchat. This gang member from Coventry is now serving a life sentence. CCTV captured the moment he filmed himself after stabbing a man to death last year. There are now warnings of tensions fueled on social media between gangs across the country will lead to an increase in violent crime once the lockdown is lifted.
A lot of young people are bored and they're fatigued during COVID-19.
This criminologist says in Birmingham, apps like House Party has already led to rows online being settled in the streets.
There is a number of cases, but more specifically a recent case where there was a number of shootings that took place at particular residents where people may have lived, and that was as a consequence of an argument that took place on a social media application or platform like House Party.
Tensions have long existed between rival gangs in the city. A recent shooting at this chicken shop was linked to an alleged dispute between teenagers on social media.
Now, Snapchat has told us in a statement they condemn gang violence, while House Party say the safety of users is essential and they do not tolerate illegal behaviour.
Some areas in London are at the heart of gang turf wars, which has led communities living in fear. 20-year-old Joseph Williams Torres was killed in a case of mistaken identity 2 years ago. The three men who murdered him were part of a gang who often use social media to intimidate their rivals.
It's every day thinking about him, what he will be in his future, like looking forward to see my son to grow up, to be with his friends and to have a nice life like how I want it, and now he cannot have it.
They just shot him 5 times and killed him. They tried to get him out of the car and he was pulling back, and then he just shot him through the window.
Some police forces, including the Met, are now monitoring gang activity on Instagram and YouTube.
We are very much aware of the pressure cooker that has developed when it comes to people, gang members or others who want to create mayhem when this lockdown is eased. The social media platforms, whichever platform that is, have been a breeding ground for individuals to bait each other during this lockdown.
With tensions building out of sight, the police know the quiet of lockdown won't last. For them though, the challenge is keeping up with gangs on social media. Noel Phillips, Sky News.
Yep, it's a silly world we live in. They don't seem to understand and realise the damage that they're doing to people. People don't think with the brain sometimes. It's kind of a shame, really. That's what I could say on that. I've got my fan on there, as you can see, giving me cold air. But anyway, let's see here, 6 hours ago, let's try and find this one. Testing for a trace of symptom launching in England.
Most important part of your teeth is the enamel, the white, hard, shining armour of protection all around your teeth. When that wears away, the underlayer, which is slightly yellower, starts to show through, and that becomes a little bit darker. I recommend putting on because it strengthens the enamel you have, and it helps to protect the enamel
Weston-super-Mare on the west coast. A spike in coronavirus cases here forced the local hospital to close on Monday. From today, anyone in close contact with someone who's been infected will be put into quarantine for up to 2 weeks if they're found by the new test and trace system.
Like detectives, the NHS clinician from NHS Test and Trace and the person who's tested positive work together to identify the possible movements of the virus. If you are contacted by NHS Test and Trace instructing you to isolate, you must. It is your civic duty.
To prepare, the government has hired 25,000 contact tracers, including Sue, an occupational nurse from Oxford.
I'm excited to look forward to the challenges. I think daunted is the wrong word to use. I think it's just really an anticipation of an opportunity to be doing something that's quite unique.
As the name suggests, the system starts with testing. If you have symptoms and test positive, you'll get a call from a contact tracer. They'll ask you for the names and numbers of the people you've been in contact with over the last 7 days. You'll get a text or an email. They'll then have to log onto the NHS Test and Trace website to find out what to do. If the contact's been recent, they may have to isolate for up to 14 days. There'll also be email alerts, which will look like this. Although, if you want to ignore them, you can, because right now there are no sanctions for breaking quarantine. Volunteer contact tracer Dr. Bing Jones says that could work as long as the government gets its message right.
Almost everybody is really decent and they really do want to do this. But the fact is that it's a really complicated chain and it needs to be got right at every single point. The chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So the government needs to get the messaging really, really clear.
In Weston-super-Mare, people are pleased but wary.
I think if it's going to keep everybody safe and it leads us to live a more normal life for those who haven't been affected, then yeah, it's not a bad thing.
It doesn't bother me at all.
And why is that?
Because I've got nothing to hide.
You know, as we've seen in the past, that information does tend to go into various places, and that's a bit of a worry.
This is what we want to get back to, and the government promises that test and trace is how we can do it. But to make it work, we'll once again need to resist the urge to go out. Brother Mantle, Sky News.
Well, what could one say? Just trying to find other news. There was news on here anyway, but one would say to me, you know the fire. But do we know? I say, why do I say it like that for? Interesting. See here, instead of me holding the phone, I could put it onto a speaker stand, and if I want to film this, see, save me right, okay. What video is gonna say to me now? I don't believe it. It wasn't me. Trying to balance the phone, but it won't stay on the stand, you can see. I'm having a lot of bloody problems at the moment. Hold on a minute, guys, I need to try and get this phone to balance on here, which is bloody irritating. Still won't balance. Hold on. I'm having problems trying to balance this bloody phone, and it just will not stay. For some pissing reason. There's my hand, you can see.